In the almost 5 years that I've been blogging, filming, posting on social media, I've shared bits and pieces of our story, mainly just the homeschooling aspects of it, where we've come from in our homeschooling journey, our early years of mayhem, as my children refer to them. But I've never really shared beyond that on here, and I just feel like it's time to do that. A few years ago, I started following another mom on Instagram, and she's very public about her family struggles. And when I read her posts, I honestly felt like I was reading our family's own story. There were times where you could just feel the weight that was on her, and I felt so bad because I know what that weight, especially those particular weights, feel like. And I was like, you know, is she going to be able to come out of this? And then I would see another post that was really full of hope and a different perspective on what she was going through. And I was like, you know what? She's got it. She's going to be okay. And it's situations like these that are the reason I started Seeking Delectare. Seeking Delectare means seeking to delight. And I want to help moms find delight in the middle of difficult and even impossible circumstances. I want you to know that there is hope, that you're not alone, and that you can find delight right here, right now. You don't have to wait for the circumstances to change. And I know this is possible because I've been there. I've told my children that their dad had gone shopping when in reality he had to go to the food pantry because even though he was working 60 hours a week, 75% of our food was having to come from food pantries because we couldn't afford it. I've been on the floor of my room 7 months pregnant, keeping a child with special needs away from my other children while he was raging uncontrollably again. Until 2 years ago, our kids were growing up in a neighborhood where they knew what gunshots sounded like and what drug deals looked like. There were many, many good things that happened during our hardest years, but I was always waiting for the next shoe to drop because there was always another shoe. You know, for many years, there was always another shoe. For many years, my prayer was, Lord, your will be done, but please don't let it take tragedy to do it. Fast forward to today, we still have children who struggle. The budget is tighter than we'd like, and there's chronic illness in the mix. But my husband and I have learned that bad seasons, even when they last for years, don't have to define us, because if we let them define us, we're not going to be able to grow in them and possibly out of them. I had to come to a point where I could spend my days saying, I shouldn't have to deal with this. No one else's homeschool looks like this. Why is everything in life a fight? Or I could say, what's here is what is. What are we being called to in this moment? We still work to make things better, but we're able to be more content as we work. I'm not looking for magic bullets anymore because I know that if we bring what we can, God is going to take that and He is going to multiply it. And we've seen Him do this over and over again. Another thing we've learned is that how we approach various parts of our life is absolutely crucial. You know, we've gone from homeschooling as a way to impart arbitrary knowledge or looking at curriculum as one of those magic bullets. You know, we've gone from that to seeing homeschooling as formation, homeschooling as a way to nurture human flourishing. And this has impacted our home life as well. We're not called to see each other as problems that need to be fixed or as obstacles to the ideal that we have in our heads. We're called to help each other and our children to flourish as human beings made in the image of God. And part of what allows that flourishing to happen is when we keep each part of our family's life in proportion to the whole of our family's life, keeping things in perspective and balance. These mental shifts are allowing us to take the long view on things, which means that we can be okay with small changes, small progress, and we can even be okay with the inevitable backward steps that happen. This doesn't mean that we're walking with blinders on through life, seeing nothing but roses. It means that we have full view of the thorns, believe me. We can still acutely feel their pricks, but we can still enjoy the blooms that are among them. And so my goal with Seeking Delectari is to help other families, no matter how impossible your circumstances are, to help you recapture delight in your own life, in your own homeschool, your own family's story. I'd like to leave you with a passage from the prophet Isaiah that I feel really captures the hope that we as parents in difficult circumstances can hold on to. Isaiah says, "Thus says the Lord, if you bestow your bread on the hungry and satisfy the afflicted, then light shall rise for you in the darkness, and the gloom shall become for you like midday. Then the Lord will guide you always and give you plenty, even on the parched land. He will renew your strength, and you shall be like a water garden, like a spring whose water never fails. The ancient ruins shall be rebuilt for your sake, and the foundations from ages past you shall raise up. Repairer of the breach they shall call you, restorer of ruined homesteads." Obviously, we can't do any of this on our own. All is dependent on God's grace. But I hope that this channel can be a source of encouragement for you and your family as you walk in that grace, as you walk in hope.